know that feeling? When something is coming. Something you started. But now, you can't stop.
Wait a minute! No! Ripley again, attacking the knee of Raquel.
Well, that something is here. Tonight, Payback is currency.
I am unbeatable as the women's world champion, and you're gonna learn to fear me.
And it's time to pay up.
Raquel Rodriguez going right after Rhea Ripley.
Let me tell you that I am on top of the world. I am a revolutionary.
Okay, Charsa from Nakamura to Rollins.
I won the world title.
I am the greatest of not only my generation, but of this generation.
I wasn't supposed to change the game, but I did. My legacy will be defined by survival.
You're not going to survive this one, Vic.
Tonight, get ready to raise some hell.
John Cena is back. Tonight we are giving you unforgettable moments. Let me talk to you. LA Knight is not on my level.
I'm going to become the United States champion for a third time.
619! Nobody can stop the Judgment Day. No rules, anything goes. We are ending this. Yeah.
Payback has arrived. Watch your back.
We're really glad that you're our friend, and this is a friendship that'll never ever end.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the least requested, least demanded, and the least downloaded wrestling podcast, PCW. This could be a long podcast, so strap in and shut up and don't be a little bitch about it.
To the masters.
Ruthless aggression.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, welcome back to another episode of PCW Podcast Championship Wrestling, where tonight we are going to talk about Payback that happened just over the Labor Day weekend. And let me bring in my co-host. Welcome back, Dre.
Yo, what it do, PCW crew?
Hey, man, how did you enjoy your Labor Day weekend?
I had a 4-day weekend off of work, so it was great for me.
Yeah, right? And it's always nice to fit a nice wrestling pay-per-view in there, right?
Yeah, it worked out nicely for me.
Yeah. All right, let's bring them on out. Doyle.
Oh, it's me. It's the Doyle. And I got a recommendation for you guys right off the bat here.
Okay.
I am somewhat of a bookworm, and I have been reading, or actually read in about 3 sittings, the Brian Gord's book that came out last year. It's finally out in paperback. It's called There's Just One Problem, True Tales from the Former One-Time 7th Most Powerful Person in WWE. And it is excellent. I don't read all of the wrestling books. I think a lot of them are superfluous. But the only one I can think of that's better is Mick Foley's first book. I think this is a must-read if you're a wrestling fan.
Ooh, Have a Nice Day? Wasn't that his first one?
Yeah, I believe so.
Yes.
Mick Foley's?
Yeah.
I would put slot this in at a solid number 2.
Yeah.
Behind.
I'll have to consider that then, because I think I read Mick Foley's first book. Like, I actually own 2 wrestling books. I read Stone Cold's autobiography from back in the day. Don't remember the title of it. And I'm pretty sure Have a Nice Day was the one I read from Mick Foley, because I know he wrote more than one.
Yeah.
Right. I'm pretty sure Have a Nice Day is the one I read. I might be wrong. I'd have to dig in the crates and see which books I have. But, yeah, I remember enjoying both of those.
Yeah, Foley had a lot of good
This one's up
books
there
back
on
then.
that level, then. Yeah,
it's really good. It's real quick too. It's like 250 pages or so. Like I said, I think I read it in 3 or 4 sittings.
Yeah,
it's a real easy read, and just I enjoyed it very much. I highly recommend it.
I mean, like book wise, Jericho. I remember it came out with a couple books. I'm looking at like best sellers that we've had. I guess Bret Hart, maybe. Eric Bischoff or Ric Flair, Kurt Angle. These are a bunch of other books that had that I remember top selling at the time. And Stone Cold Steve Austin, of course. But when was the last time we had a good book?
I feel like there was a time where everybody was releasing a book.
Yeah, exactly. And like we haven't had that in a while.
There's a lot of them out there, and most of them I don't think are particularly that good, but.
Right,
I highly recommend this one.
There was a phase, when we had good books, and then also, did you guys ever get the wrestling magazines back in the day?
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah, I used to get the Raw and SmackDown versions, so I would get both of them in the mail. They would always be coming wrestling posters, and I'd be like, all right, but hopefully it's a good wrestler, because I ain't hanging like a terrible wrestler on my wall. It would be such a disappointing month. You get the magazine, you pray to God it's somebody good, then it's somebody awful. Gotta wait till next one.
The dumpster jersey.
So, Dre, you want to take over? Because these post podcast episodes. This is your company. This is your.
Yeah, that's become my jam. It's become my get down.
Yeah, whatever we want to call it. Your jam. So you are general manager for the evening, sir. So.
Alrighty then. Well, as is typical, has become the case with this show now, we are doing our post PLE review, where we'll talk about these matches and any other topics, any other questions I can come up with that can provoke some debate or conversation. So in this case, we're talking about Payback, which took place from the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Apparently, they had an attendance of around 14,584 people for this arena, which I'm pretty sure counts as a sellout for that arena. First match on the card was Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch in a steel cage, finally putting an end to this feud once and for all. And this match I thought was a very good match. Definitely the best match out of the multiple matches these two have had together. It was way better than the match that they had at Night of Champions. Way better than the BS matches they had on Raw, which ended in double countouts and quick disqualifications and all that mess. I would even go so far as saying this is the second best women's match I've seen this year. Second only to Rhea Ripley and Charlotte Flair from WrestleMania. I thought this match was that good. It did kind of start off a little bit slow, but once they got going, they got going. Oh, and by the way, yeah, Becky Lynch won, obviously. I'm assuming if you were listening to the show, you watched the show, you know who won. But yeah, I thought the match was top notch. Trish Stratus, for a woman in her late 40s, looked like she was in her prime. She took some absolutely sick bumps in this match, from the superplex that she took to the manhandle slam from the top rope that she took, and some other stunts where she had her legs stuck in the top of the cage and was bent over backwards. And at that moment, I ain't gonna lie, I was kind of legitimately nervous, because I was like, if one of them legs go out and something goes horribly wrong, ooh, we in for a real bad night. But all them years of yoga paid off for her, because she held on, and the little interference from Zoe Stark even was well timed and didn't feel like it took away from the match. It added to it at the proper moment without her being overexposed in the match and part of it for too long. They saved it for the right moment, brought her in towards the end, towards the finish, had a little part, and then that was it, with Becky Lynch getting the win. Again, I thought this was an absolute top-tier match, and like I said, second best women's match of the year that I've seen. Wayne, what are your thoughts on the match?
Yeah, actually, I didn't think the match wasn't that bad at all. And I agree, man. Like, maybe, like, I was thinking, like, steel cage matches we've had over the past few years. And this probably definitely ranks up there pretty high. And there was also a lot of story towards this, and playing, Zoe Stark's role in this. I mean, it played out very, very well. I hope we're done with this feud. I hope Trish can move on. Maybe, the way it ended, maybe she's kind of might be written off of TV for a little bit. If Becky looks like we might see Becky head in NXT, which is kind of a weird direction. But we've seen, people like Charlotte done that, go back to NXT and maybe capture that title for a while. So if that's where she's heading, after this feud, awesome. Looks like Zoe's, character turning on Trish definitely raised her stock up a little bit here. So is Trish face now, or was it a heel turn? I was kind of confused how what Trish leaves as. I'm assuming a face. But as for the science of the match itself, the match was great. A lot of great spots. That superplex off the top. As for cage matches goes, would you ever agree that, like, having a legit cage match would involve keeping the gate shut permanently? Like, the only way to win is pin, submission, or climb up over the top. I always thought the opening of the door and having to put 2 feet out was kind of silly.
Oh,
to a certain
degree.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, it's kind of a lazy way out. Where, let me just book it to this door real quick and run out. So yeah, right. It's kind of a lazy way out. Fortunately, they don't use it that often, and more often than not, that door is used for somebody else to get in the cage than for any of the competitors to get out of it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, it's so silly. I mean, you would think, like, if you want to have somebody all to yourself, like, they can't escape. They have to, like, climb up over the top to get out. And, I don't know. I feel like it would make the match very, hell of a lot more interesting. Yeah, Doyle, do you agree there with me?
Yes. In fact, I have a little note about that exact topic, but if I tell you it now, I will lose my place, so I'll go back into the order in which I wrote this shit down. Did you guys notice during Trish's entrance, she goes over and talks to a fan She says something to a fan before she gets in the cage.
She told him to shut the fuck up. Yes, God. I saw that clip and I was like, that's why I love that woman. That is why I love her.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I've not really been a huge fan of Trish on this particular run, either in the ring or on the stick. But this was by far the best work she's done, in this little return that she's going on here. And, credit where credit is due. I think this was the best match on the card. Yeah, and probably the second best women's match of the year so far. And it's saying something because I fucking loved that tag match, but we'll get to that in a minute. I like Trish pulling out the Widow's Peak from Victoria and Becky doing the Twist of Fate from Lita. Although, holy shit, did commentary need to explain it to us like we were 4 fucking years old? Like, yeah, say it's Victoria's Widow's Peak. Fine. End of story. You don't need to continue. You don't need to spend the next 3 minutes telling us about that. That kind of drove me crazy. Now into the cage stuff. I wasn't a huge fan of Zoe Stark getting involved, especially because the whole fucking point of the cage was to keep her out. But I guess it did make sense for the story for that to happen. But I would have liked her to have come down with, clippers or something to cut a lock off or, fight her way through a dozen security guards or something. It was just instead of, she shouldn't have been able to just waltz down. You know what I mean? It should have been a little. She had a little more resistance to get in there. So I guess Becky is going to go feud with Tiffany Stratton over the NXT title. She never won. That should certainly help Stratton, but I don't know what it does for Becky. If she wins the NXT title, great, she's supposed to. And if she doesn't, she kind of looks like a jabroni. So I kind of don't know what the point of that is.
What would be the women's equivalent of a Grand Slam title? Do they have it? Is it just SmackDown? Is it just the SmackDown title, Raw women's title, and then the tag titles? Was that what it was previously?
I'm not sure that they're officially. Are they officially calling something?
I think the NXT title, the women's NXT, was part of the Grand Slam.
Yeah, that's what I'm wondering. That's where I was going with it.
I think Bayley was the first one, but I know Charlotte is definitely one, and I know Alexa Bliss is definitely
okay. They're calling the Raw, the SmackDown, the NXT, and the tag titles.
Okay.
You got Bayley, Asuka, Sasha, Charlotte, and Rhea.
Okay, so there it is. So I guess if it wins that one, then that would be the Grand Slam, because I'm assuming Becky's been tag team champion before with somebody.
Yeah, with Lita, right?
Right. Obviously, literally just happened this year.
The start of this feud.
I know, how forgettable that was.
It was so long ago, like this feud. Dig back, like how this feud started, like with Lita was involved, and we all kind of we're still kind of hoping and banking that Lita would have returned in some way, shape, or form, and got a little bit of revenge. But I remember. I think we talked about that in the prediction show. We talked about the possibility of Lita showing up to get some get back, and I'm somewhat surprised that it didn't happen. But at the same time, when I was watching the match and once everything was going, Lita was the last thing on my mind. No disrespect to her, but
upset about the lack of Lita.
Yeah, like she was not missed. Her presence was not missed. And again, that's not a stab at her. That's just more a credit to the quality of match that Becky and Trish put on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess Zoe is going to feud with Shayna Baszler now. But somebody needs to be the babyface, right? So I don't know who that is.
Yeah, I wondered about that too Monday, seeing those two, because I'm like, you got two people who are still in the eyes of the fans heels, because after the match, Zoe did turn her back on Trish and hit her with the Z360, which, speaking to that for a brief moment, either Zoe needs another finisher, which isn't likely to happen because they're kind of all in on that Z360 thing, or she needs to come up with better ways to set it up.
Yeah.
Because it was so blatantly obvious that it was happening in the post-match, where Trish pushed her or slapped her or whatever, and then literally just gets in the cradle position, like, okay, arm here, get you by the legs, and now 360. It's like that could have been, that part was just like really poorly executed.
It's definitely one of those moves where the person taking it is clearly cooperating.
Exactly. Like
yeah.
Right. And there could have been a better way of it's a nice finisher, but she needs to come up with better ways of executing it. Like right then when Trish, slapped or whatever, maybe she grabs Trish by the hair and just pulls her back and starts yelling at her. And in the midst of that, that's how you set up the move, because you partially got her somewhat in position, but you're distracting the audience with the fact that you're screaming in her face, as opposed to, okay, here, cradle, flip, knee. Like,
no, that's an excellent point.
Yeah,
she might be, despite all that, Zoe Stark might be the Rookie of the Year.
I don't know
and I don't know if there's any way to quantify it. And we've talked about it before. When they call up these NXT people and they pair them with a veteran, I feel like they do so much better than the ones that don't get paired up with somebody.
Right.
I don't know if somebody wants to go into a long range study of that, but who's that little hairy guy? He was like randomly in one of these U.S. title lead up matches, but Cameron Grimes, he hasn't done a fucking thing, and he's got nobody paired up with him. Anyway, I think Trish is going to go back to Canada in time for Hockey Night in Canada to start back up. Although I can't believe I'm going to say this, I wouldn't mind seeing her come back, because I really was not enjoying her work up until this match. I wouldn't mind seeing her come back at some point. I think she still has a lot to offer. Clearly, she can still go. I mean, I think she needs a Hall of Fame caliber, somebody to work with. I don't know if she would have that same match with The Rock's daughter, say. But I loved it. I really, really loved this. This is like I would say 4.25 stars for this one. But of course, Becky winning is the right decision. And Irish eyes are smiling. Oh my God! Oh, and that was like one of the best superplexes of all time. Also.
Yeah, that was a phenomenal one, and and props to her for taking that bump. Yeah. Like I said, all those years of yoga, I'm pretty sure really paid off for Trish for her to take all those bumps and be bruised and battered, but not broken.
Actually, that reminds me of something I wanted to say. We were questioning whether Trish had turned face or not.
Yeah.
Because that picture she put up with all her bruises and everything, she said, "Thank you, Becky," right? So I think that indicates face turn.
Possibly. And also there's a clip going around of Trish leaving after the match to thank you, Trish, chants, and you still got it chants. So the audience, the crowd there definitely showed their appreciation to Trish after the match. So
I mean, she's one of those people I think you could, flip a switch and she's back as a baby face.
Yeah, and I think she's probably done for now, because it doesn't. I'm sure she's still attached to that television show Canada's Got Talent, I think, which if the fall season's coming around, that show might be ramping up. And so I think we're probably done with seeing Trish for a while.
Yeah.
The feud is ended. It's over. It's final. Like we discussed, Zoe seems to be heading in to some program with Shayna Baszler. I don't know if it's going to be. I can't see it as being one person being the face and one person being the heel,
right?
Because the crowd was dead as fuck for that match on Monday. That was a bathroom break match if I ever saw one.
Right.
Not because the match itself was bad, but because they performed in the ring. They gave them some time to work with too. Like they got like a start, a commercial break, and then a finish. So they got time to work. It's just that neither character has had much development. Like Zoe is fresh off of being associated with Trish in a heel move. That 1Z360 isn't going to turn everything around. Mm-hmm. So we don't know what direction they're going with her. Shayna had the potential to have possibly gotten a face run or something a face turn or something when her feud with Ronda Rousey, because, again, going into that SummerSlam match, when she cut that promo about her passion, all the things she went through in the industry, that was tailor-made for her to emerge as a face. But the match sucked, and they haven't done anything with Shayna since SummerSlam, other than I think she's maybe had like 1 or 2 squash matches. So they didn't capitalize on any momentum that Shayna could have had coming out of SummerSlam. So honestly, I thought the match was almost like a tryout where they were like, all right, let's throw these two in the ring and let's see which one the audience gets behind, and then that's the one that we may make a face in the feud. But then that also, I don't think it does anything for the two of them to be pitted against each other either.
Right.
Because whoever got loser is kind of going to be buried, because neither one of them are in much of a position to where they can afford to take a significant loss in a feud. So the fact that after the match we saw Shayna Baszler like shake her hand and kind of acknowledge her, they may actually turn into a pairing.
I was gonna say.
They may that mutual respect thing may turn into some sort of partnership between the two.
And I don't think that's horrible. Right?
No, I don't think it's bad at all, because like I said, I don't think either one of them. Shayna's probably strong enough to stand on her own if they booked her right, and if they tried to make her that dangerous person she was in NXT when she was the Queen of Spades and all that.
Yeah, possibly.
But Zoe is still very much a rookie, and I don't know that she has much to go off of to stand on her own yet. So if they decide to pair her up with Shayna Baszler moving forward, and that's her next program, then that can probably work out for the both of them.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like there's a plethora of women's tag teams.
Oh my god!
And who wants those belts anyway? Because they're cursed.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's a whole nother fucking conversation right there. Just so many. I feel like we could just dedicate a whole episode of just like putting together new tag teams of all the women that are on that roster. Like, we could do it. Let's create a bracket. Create tag teams, terrible tag teams, but we'll give them new gimmicks.
Yes.
God, who's great for that? Natalya. I think Natalya's been like everybody's tag team partner at some point, right? Like,
probably.
I mean, it seems it. She's just one of those people.
Yep. All right. Anything left on that match?
No.
Any final thoughts?
I think we're good.
All right, then. Well, moving on from there, after that, we got our host of Payback, John Cena, who came out to give the audience a little hyping up, which is kind of weird to have the host come out after the opening match. But however, he came out and said, "Welcome to Payback," after we already had a match and had his little hype up moment. To which point he was interrupted by The Miz, who came out and gave John Cena advice on hosting, because Miz does have experience with hosting before, and they had a little bit of back and forth banter to them, and those two have some really good chemistry together. Yeah. I got to give them that. They have great chemistry together. That little segment between the two was actually pretty damn entertaining.
Well, they're two of the best talkers in WWE history.
Yeah.
I guess that's not a guarantee for a good mesh, but it's certainly and they've worked together plenty of times before,
Yeah, you can see the a little bit of them throwing shade at each other, a little bit of that past, they kind of touched on that a little bit with their their history with each other. So
what did LA Knight
great work
say,
between
like 12
them two.
years ago?
So what?
I said, what did LA Knight say about 12 years ago? I think they had their feud. There's a lot of rich history there with those two.
Yeah, and it's nice to see guys who have history together kind of interact with each other, and there's always that permanent tension that's there because of their history.
Yep.
And shit, like anytime The Rock and Triple H together, there's always going to be that tension there forever. Like you saw that with, like I said, with Miz and Cena. Mm-hmm. To which eventually we got Mr. LA Knight coming out after John Cena declared himself to be the special guest referee for the match. So our second match of the night was Miz versus LA Knight, with John Cena as special guest referee. Which, when I first saw that Cena was going to be the special guest ref, I was nervous that they were throwing him in there because they weren't confident in Miz and LA Knight's match, so they felt like it needed something else. Someone the caliber of John Cena in there to get people invested in the match, or just make it seem more important. And I thought he was going to steal some of the limelight away from LA Knight, but fortunately, John Cena didn't do that. He actually played the role of referee very well in terms of staying out of it, only getting involved when necessary to, break up 5 counts and this, that, and third, which led to moments of tension between both him and LA Knight and him and Miz. But other than that, he pretty much fell to the background, and the match focused exclusively, for the most part, like 98% of the match was just Miz and LA Knight. And the match itself was okay. It wasn't anything really special. It very much could have been a Raw main event match, but LA Knight came out on top, predictably enough, and then got a little bit of a small tension moment between him and John Cena. I don't think it's going to lead to anything where, John Cena tried to raise his hand outside the ring when they were back towards the entranceway, and it looks like LA Knight kind of told him off a little bit, like, hey, you almost cost me the match out there. And it's time Cena looked back at him like, bitch, shut the fuck up and let me shake my damn hand. And he kind of mugged him a little bit as he raised his hand. I don't think that's going to develop into like a John Cena LA Knight feud unless we get a Cena heel turn, which is totally outside the realm of possibility, but I don't really think that's going to happen. But again, the match itself, it was, standard issue, standard fare. The two worked good, had a good enough match. LA Knight came out on top, again, predictably so, because he's on his way up. Other than that, it was okay. If I had to give it a rating, I'd maybe 2 3/4 stars, maybe 3 stars. But Doyle, what'd you think of the match?
I got 2 words for you. Too long. And spoiler alert, that's going to be a recurring theme. If you're only going to put 6 matches on a card because you want everything to have time to breathe or whatever, that's fine. Not everything needs to breathe a ton. Also, it was 6 matches still took 3.5 hours. Or 3:15, I think it was. I'll plug me doing Carlos's podcast again, which we still haven't done, but we will be doing. We just watched WrestleMania 7. That was 3.5 hours. There were 14 matches. Wow. This is 15 minutes shorter, and it only had 6. And this is a prime example of fat that could have been trimmed. I like LA Knight as much as the next guy, and I'm not saying he's bad in the ring because he isn't. But do you realistically see him ever in the 4-star territory? I think that's going to be a problem going forward for him. He's perfectly serviceable, but I don't know if he's going to ever be anything phenomenal in the ring. I think it was 16 minutes long, I think, or a little under. Yeah. I could have done with half of that. 8 minutes, 10-minute range would have helped tremendously, I think. Cena, I thought, he did a great job. It was like a goody two-shoes right down the middle, guest ref that pissed both competitors off, But exactly like Dre said, unless you're going to do LA Knight and Cena program, what the hell was the point of having him in this? I can't see them turning LA Knight back to heel. And there's rumors that they're going to turn Cena heel, but I don't see that happening either. I'll believe that when I see it, Mm-hmm. But it's just speaking of Cena, he's going to need some credible wins at some point, right? Because he's apparently going to be around for a couple months. And if he doesn't get that, beating him is going to stop meaning much of anything, right? Like, just ask Austin
I gotta
Theory.
disagree with that one.
Just ask Austin Theory.
That's because of Austin Theory, though. That ain't on Cena. Honestly, I think Cena is at the point now where he does not have to win another match. His legacy is cemented. There's an entire era of the WWE is based around him.
Yeah.
So he's in that level. John Cena is in the Hulk Hogan, Stone Cold Steve Austin pantheon. So does he need wins for credibility? No, he's John fucking Cena. That alone carries the weight of it.
It's hard to disagree, but I like, how much is it beating Cena? If everybody starts doing it, how much does it mean?
If they overdo, I see what you're saying. Like, if he looks like he's overstaying his welcome and he's just getting his ass whooped all the time, then sure, I can see that. But I don't think we've been at that point yet. And
if they're going to literally call him the GOAT while they're announcing him, he can't be losing every match he's in.
Right, and honestly, I don't think he will be. Like, I don't think he's going to be coming back working a single program and losing that program. Like, think about the last two matches we saw him work. He worked the very end of last year, the last SmackDown of 2022, in a tag match, which he won, and then he worked WrestleMania with Austin Theory, which he lost. Which, again, that did nothing for Austin Theory because the match itself was shit. Not because of John Cena's status, but it was just a poorly booked match. If he's going to be back now for an extended run, I can see this with some. Now, here's where the problem, I will say, does lie, and to where I somewhat agree with you. I could see him having singles matches, but they would probably be with like mid-carders who he would just squash.
Yeah, I was literally just about to say, like, I could see him beating Santos Escobar. You know?
Well, I was going to say, like, a Grayson Waller or something like that. Like, I could see him having, like, a match with that where it's like, it's the main event because it's John Cena, but we all know John Cena's going to fucking win because Grayson Waller ain't that dude yet. But that doesn't do anything for John Cena, and I don't think it really hurts Grayson Waller either because he's losing to John Cena. So, I just think Cena is at the point now where he doesn't need to win any major feud that he's involved in because he's John Cena. He's at the point now where he pretty much is only there just to put over the new guys.
Right.
And I think people understand that and accept that. So any feud that he's involved in, I would kind of expect him to lose in. Whether he's a heel feuding with a face or if he's, Super Cena babyface feuding with some heel. Either way, I still expect him to probably lose at the end because he doesn't need wins anymore.
So, let me ask you something. Would you rather, if you had to sign a contract, would you rather wrestle once a year but every time you wrestle within that 5 years, you lose? Or would you rather work every Monday Night Raw, but every time you wrestle, you lose? Because that's kind of how Miz pretty much was this year, right? Miz has lost every match he's had except for one, right? And this man still gets paid. John Cena has not won a match since 2018 against Triple H in Saudi. That's 5 years. And Doyle, I totally get it, man. Like, credibility, John Cena has it, but tinkering at that, they're chiseling away at John Cena's legacy right there by him not. Yeah, he's putting guys over, but.
Yeah, I have no problem with him putting guys over. He absolutely should be, but you can't be calling him the greatest of all time and then never having him win.
Exactly.
Yeah, but who's really. But nobody's believing that greatest of all time thing. I don't even know why the hell Michael Cole says that or why they even let Michael Cole keep saying that. Because there ain't a single person alive who buys into that. It's like, John Cena's the GOAT. No. There ain't no list nowhere, no debate nowhere where anybody other than the most diehard of John Cena stands are putting him at the top of any list.
Right.
Nobody's calling him the GOAT. Honestly, it's disrespectful to the word GOAT. It cheapens the term by putting it on somebody who putting that term with somebody that nobody agrees with. Like, nobody thinks John Cena is greater than Hulk Hogan. Fuck Hulk Hogan. Nobody thinks that John Cena is greater than Stone Cold Steve Austin. Like, if you were to rank them just by eras, he's probably 3. If you're talking about just like, that level of people, setting of just caliber of performers, he would be at best 3 behind Hogan.
On your Mount Rushmore, John Cena's up there in the top 4.
I don't even know if truth be told, he probably ain't on everybody's Mount Rushmore. It depends on what the caliber, what criteria people are using. But I promise you, he ain't on a lot of people's Mount Rushmore. The thing that John Cena has is that era. He was the face of the WWE for an era. Like Hogan was in the 80s, like Austin was with the Attitude Era, Cena was with the Ruthless Aggression Era, and Roman Reigns is now. That face of the company for an extended period of time. That's what puts him in that pantheon. Like if they did at WrestleMania 40 what they did at 30 when they had Hogan, Austin, and Rock, if they were to do something like that again next year, you better believe John Cena had better be a part of it. If they, drag Hogan's ass out again and shit, and then bring out Austin again, and they want to do like, that Eras thing, yeah, John Cena had better well be a part of it because he's earned that. He deserves that. He sits at that table. But that's it. And I don't mean that as any shade towards him, but like, I don't think anybody's putting him on their greatest wrestler list. Mm-hmm. That's a completely different set of criteria. Nobody would put him on their greatest performer list because that's, again, probably a different set of criteria. But what he does have for him is he put the company on his back for an extended period of time. It was the face of the company. And that's a level of greatness that, again, only few people in the history of wrestling can lay claim to.
I'll agree with Doyle, though. I mean, like, for me, this would be like a middle of the road, like a 3-star, right? Because, I mean,
you talking about the match itself?
Yeah, the match itself was just long. I mean,
too long.
Yeah, just too long. I mean, like Doyle said, where are we going with this with John Cena and LA Knight? Like, are we getting just the rub here? He shows him a little bit of respect. Is that it? And after like Raw on Monday, I'm kind of curious if that's even a question or John Cena has something else to do right now with somebody else. Yeah, that. But like, you know what I mean? Like, and it's nice with the Miz. With his credibility, he's always nice to dust off once in a while and put over somebody. But these 3 guys, just on the mic in general, just great mic work. So if that's one thing you take away from this feud, was the great mic work between the Miz and LA Knight, because I always was excited to see them face to face, hurling insults at each other, and just to throw John Cena in there, who has a lot of history with the Miz, kind of spiced up this feud just a little bit, but. Yeah, it could have been a nice 8-minute match. I agree, Doyle. 15 minutes after we just got done a 20-minute steel cage match. The right guy won though, LA Knight.
Yeah, I would argue that the mic work going into the match was better than the match itself.
Oh yeah, for sure. For sure.
Which is kind of a shame because, but you did bring up a good point, Doyle, about LA Knight. And whether, as much as he may be over with the audience, at some point there's going to have to be some in-ring work to match,
right,
in order to build him up.
Yeah.
Because, and it's not to say that he can't work in the ring or that he's a terrible worker in the ring, because he's not.
No.
He's not a bad ring performer at all. But he's going to have. Oh shit!
We lose you?
No,
sorry, that was on me. Did that come through on y'all's?
No,
I didn't hear anything.
Okay, nothing. I'm sorry. I got distracted because my freaking. I'm sorry, my Bluetooth speaker cut out, so my YouTube video started playing, and that threw me off for a second. Sorry about that. But anyway, like I was saying, at some point, LA Knight is going to have something in the ring to add to his resume. He can't just be, mic work and crowd pops and catchphrases. He's got to put together something in the ring. The Rock nobody would put The Rock on their list of greatest in-ring, wrestlers of all time, but he damn sure put on some good matches. He had good in-ring performances. He has matches that you can look back at. Him and Triple H, tearing the house down. They did that. They had their Iron Man 1 hour match.
Said that Rock and Hogan. I mean, they didn't do anything in that match, and it's fucking awesome.
Right. Neither one of them are great workers, and yet their match is considered one of the greatest WrestleMania matches of all time.
I know.
In 39 years, that's one of the best WrestleMania matches.
I know. It's like you look at the anatomy of that match. It's so boring. It's so slow. It's a lot of holds. It has its moments. It has the five moves of doom, but what's the best part of that is just the crowd interaction with that. How we were, by the end of that match, not by the end of the feud, but by the end of the match, people were cheering for Hogan and booing The Rock. I mean, crazy.
Well, that started pretty early on in the match, but but you're right. That's kind of what made that match work, is that it didn't rely on, the greatest technical wrestling or the greatest performing and all that stuff. Those two knew how to work that crowd. And they had that crowd wrapped around the palm of their hand. You could tell those were two veterans in the ring, and they saw it very early on. Oh, this is a pro Hogan crowd. Okay, Rock started being a little bit more aggressive with things. Rock started to be a little bit more heelish in his tactics. Hogan, turned the table and started acting a little bit more of a face than a heel. And they just both played off it so well. And then by the end of it, when Hogan hulked up on them, that crowd was going ape shit.
Try to watch that match.
A lot of Roman matches are like that. He's not doing flips and crazy,
Yeah.
And that's why I'm not saying I have faith. I mean, that LA Knight certainly could figure it out. It's not even about a physical prowess or anything like that. It's just about telling that story, or what, I don't know. It's what separates the very good from the great.
Yeah, you got it right. He's got to be, at some point, he has to tell a story in the ring. He has to have something in the ring, that match or something that people get invested in. Not just getting invested in seeing him come out there and, rip somebody apart on the mic and give his catchphrases. He has to make people invested in him in the ring, in the match. Like we saw in our main event match, which we'll get to later. The crowd was invested in Seth. Mm-hmm. They start to cheer to try to get him back into it. That's the fans being invested in the performer. We haven't seen that yet, really, in a significant LA Knight match. Not saying that it won't happen, because again, we're still in the very beginnings of this ascension or this push or whatever that we're going to call it that LA Knight is receiving.
Yeah, I think we don't know what we have yet, really, even.
Yeah, and we still got major pay-per-views to come. We still got Survivor Series. We still got the Rumble. We still got, we're long ways from WrestleMania, so we don't know what's in the future for him. But hopefully somebody is aware of that, and he has that moment. Again, all this could turn on a dime if he goes out there at the Royal Rumble like number one and lasts all the way to the end or something like that. But he just has to have that performance. I think we all agree he's got to have that at some point to help bring all this together. Mm-hmm. So, next match after The Miz and LA Knight was Rey Mysterio defending his SmackDown United States Championship against Austin Theory. Rey won. Don't know why the fuck this match had to be on the pay-per-view, but it was.
Oh man, would you much rather have had Gunther versus Chad Gable on the card instead of this?
Yes. Fuck yes.
But,
Jesus Christ, that match they had Monday was 10 times better than this little Ray Theory match. Like, I don't understand. Again, I already made my frustrations felt on the last episode with this entire feud. This match didn't do shit to change that.
They brought the entire LWO out for you.
Yeah, after he won to celebrate. That was it. Again, what was the point? This didn't advance no story. This didn't do this. This was a bathroom break match. This was a first hour of SmackDown match.
Yeah.
This was not PLE caliber. This was not PLE quality. Nothing about this match warranted being on this show. Other than the fact that the only thing I could think of is the fact that they decided that they were going to save the IC title match for Raw. And I don't know. I don't know if they're alternating pay-per-views with the IC title and the US title. I haven't been treating that like that. So maybe that is what it is. Like, okay, they're alternating back and forth. So like the next pay-per-view, we'll get an IC title match. And the match after that, we'll get the US title match. If that's the case, then they decided, okay, it's time for the US title match to be on the show. Like, if that's the case, then damn it, y'all should have known this was coming in advance, and y'all could have booked up a better match than this. If that's y'all's plan to alternate shows, but this was a total waste of fucking time. Total waste. This was the bathroom break of the show, and I still can't help but feel like if goddamn Santos Escobar was the U.S. champion, and this would have been a Santos Escobar defending the U.S. championship against Austin Theory, we also probably would have gotten a better match.
Well,
again, not saying that Ray can't go or is a terrible performer at this point, but at least if it's Santos Escobar and it's Austin Theory, it's there's more story there.
This was the Cinnamon Toast Crunch match of the night.
If I was Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I'd
I was going to say, is Ray undefeated in Cinnamon Toast Crunch matches? I think he is.
Dude, yeah. It's nothing like this Fruit Loop match back in '99. It's insane.
I don't know. If I was Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I'd be pissed. Like, this what the fuck my sponsorship dollars are going to?
Yeah, I wonder how much they got paid for that, because I know they always make out pretty well with these sponsors. I mean, they always have
I'd be asking some sort of rebate.
Yeah.
If I was Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I'd be asking for some sort of rebate. I'm like, y'all gotta give me some of this money back for that bullshit.
Oh my god! You guys remember when they used to have the Stacker 2 commercials back in the day?
The NASCAR commercial with Tony Stewart and Big Show and shit.
Yeah, I always remember them being matched together. I always think of, every time I see Stacker 2, I think of WWE every time I see it. Same thing with Slim Jims. You think of Macho Man every time you see Slim Jims. So every time I see Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I'm going to think of Rey Mysterio and Austin Theory in this terrible fucking match.
Don't you ever disrespect Cinnamon Toast Crunch like that.
It's just not, just like, letting it sit in milk too long, 9 minutes and 45 seconds, this match was soggy as hell.
First of all, Cinnamon Toast Crunch can sit in milk too long and still be goddamn delicious. Well, nothing delicious about this fucking match.
Well, the best part of Cinnamon Toast Crunch is, of course, the milk afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly. Where was the cinnamon sugary milk after this match? None. None.
Ray's milking this title run that he fucking has. Guy better retain. He has like 4 other people in his stable that can come out and help. But he left them all in the back. Mad respect. Dude, I'm just like rewatching the match now and just seeing Cinnamon Toast Crunch just everywhere. Like,
honestly, I didn't even notice it.
Thank God.
Maybe I was just that disinterested in the match. I didn't even notice that was Cinnamon Toast Crunch sponsored.
You know what I missed?
At least
I miss when the New Day used to throw out cereal everywhere. They did that for a hot minute, then it was pancakes.
For pancakes?
Yeah, it was cheaper, I guess, to do pancakes and easier to clean up. I mean,
Bootios was the cereal.
Bootios, yeah, dude. They had a box of Bootios at FYE, and I remember, I never like wanted to. My intentions weren't to eat it. I was curious. I was intrigued. Like, how well does this like $30, however much it was? It was a ridiculous amount because I was like, I am not paying that for cereal that I know I'm not going to eat. Like, just sit in my display case and Bootios. God damn.
Because some people have it.
I know.
A stale ass box of Bootios just sitting right next to their replica WWE title.
Yeah, at this point.
I was going to say the replica up, down, left, right, whatever that belt
is. At this point,
if
there is any listeners out there who have a box of original Bootios, please open them, eat them, and then proceed to write into the show and let us know how well they tasted.
Ain't nobody about that ruins the value of it if you open it.
I opened it one time 3 years ago and I clipped it, so it's good. Oh my god!
As long as you clip.
But yeah.
What the fuck are they doing with Theory?
I don't know. Like Theory lost the match, so now where does Theory go from here? I think him and Waller
need to give him his selfies back or turn him babyface or something.
Him and Waller would make a pretty good tag team.
I don't know if they can turn him babyface. Nobody gives a shit about Austin Theory enough to cheer for him.
Yeah, right. Yeah, him and Waller would be a fun feud or a fun tag team.
I think a tag team. Yeah, young.
Didn't they work together in NXT? I think they did.
They may have done some work together in NXT. I would put it past them.
Yeah, I mean, they could make them a tag team, and then they could just wrestle matches for no reasons because the fucking titles are over on Raw with the Judgment Day.
Oh, spoilers, but yeah.
Well, I mean, we're literally about to talk about that next because I think we're done with this Ray Theory dumpster fire. Unless y'all want to keep bagging on it.
Soggy ass milk of a match, but no. Let's go on to a non-serial match.
Yeah. Next match, the WWE Tag Team Championships were on the line with Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn defending against Judgment Day members Finn Balor and Damian Priest in a Steel City street fight, which basically means anything goes. And anything went in this match as they quickly went to the weapons, pulling out kendo sticks and chairs and tables and all kinds of shit. And I appreciated that. This was the first street fight match I've seen in a long time that really felt like a street fight match. That didn't just feel like some glorified no DQ tag match. No, these motherfuckers, there wasn't not one single tag in this match. It was just all four, let's go. Non-stop from the jump. That's what I expect to see in a real street fight, and that's what we got. And so I appreciate them doing that and kicking it old school to a certain extent on this show. So that much I appreciated. We saw some pretty gnarly spots in this match with Kevin Owens doing the swanton to Dominic Mysterio once he decided to get involved through a table, which Kevin Owens looked like he damn near missed the table. Yeah. We saw again Judgment Day toss Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn over a barricade outside, and then Kevin Owens came up bleeding, which I don't know if he bladed himself when he got tossed over or if he hit himself and actually bled, but then they popped back up and he's bleeding, and they got on the the Pittsburgh Penguins gear, the hockey gear with the gloves and all that shit. Made for a nice fun moment and a good pop without being it worked without being cheesy, which normally spots like that can be kind of cheesy and kind of corny, but for that it worked.
Just worked very well.
Right. This match it worked really well. Just it fit right in with the chaos and everything else of this match. So again, I thought the match was great, and then towards the end we even saw JD McDonough obviously make his appearance. and he got dealt with. And then Rhea Ripley came out and speared Kevin Owens through the barricade. And ultimately, the numbers game just got the best of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. They could only fight it off for so long before the numbers just got the best of them. And Sami Zayn was pinned, and we have, as I said about 5 minutes ago, new tag team champions in Finn Balor and Damian Priest, which I'm not disappointed in at all. One, I thought Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn's title reign was pretty damn lackluster, for one. Like, they won the titles at WrestleMania. It was a great moment. But since then, I feel like they've been feuding with Judgment Day damn near since then. It almost seems like they've just been stuck in long, perpetual feuds. I guess they did briefly feud with Imperium for a brief moment, but they didn't have anything special. There was really nothing ever special about their tag title run. They just had them and would just kind of, wrestle matches with people, but they never really had like a signature title defense. They never had like a signature feud with it. Like, the whole title run was just really lackluster. It's like they booked them up to win the titles, but nobody really had a plan for them for what to do with them afterwards. And that really kind of showed, which is kind of sad when like two of your most over guys have belts and y'all can't make nothing special happen with that. But and that's all that falls on WWE and their booking. The match itself, again, I thought was great. Loved there was a true street fight in the truest sense of the word, in the old school, in the ways of old. And the booking and the finish of it made sense in terms of Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn fighting off the Judgment Day as best they could, but ultimately succumbing to the numbers game and dropping the titles. I thought this was a really good match. I'll give it 4 out of 5 stars. Wayne, what'd you think?
For me, this was like a 5 out of 5. This was a match of the night for me. This is the hardcore match we should have gotten the other night on Raw when it was paying homage to Terry Funk. I mean, it was a god-awful match they had on Raw, and this is the one that really stepped it up. Maybe they had to hold back because this is where all the good spots were. We had the kendo sticks, we had the steel chairs, the trash cans, the spot where, like you said, with they got the jerseys on, catering, to the Pittsburgh Penguins. They just look like hockey players when they came out of there. It was great.
Well, they are Canadian.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, especially Kevin Owens.
So let's dial it back a little bit and remember where the prestige was built for these tag team titles. The Usos had these for so long. It was in the grasp of the bloodline, and they were the first ones to, at the time, to merge those titles, beating Randy Orton and Matt Riddle. So, having tag titles together, for this long was pretty crazy. We haven't had that in a long, long time. Like, undisputed tag titles being held on for that long. And then having Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn finally winning them at WrestleMania, taking them off the hands of the bloodline, which was so difficult to do. So these tag titles finally have value again. And, like you said, Dre, this is pretty much where, as far as Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn can kind of go with those titles. I think they're giving them to the right two guys who need them right now. Definitely a boost for their stable. I mean, it took everybody to get these titles. These tag titles, belong to Judgment Day as a whole, because everybody was involved and everybody played their part so well. The fact that it shows how many people it took to take these tag titles off of Owens and Sami Zayn just shows the value of the tag team division right now. I hope these guys hold on to it for a while. And I posted a picture. of Evolution when they left, the pay-per-view with all the gold, and I was like, same vibes, same vibes right there. Just you and all your group, just we took all the gold. Everybody's going home back at the hotel. Everybody's got gold. This.
So you're saying Rhea Ripley is Triple H?
She runs shit.
She's the one with the world title among them.
Yeah, it's very true. I mean, it doesn't. Who says that the title has to be a male's heavyweight title? I mean, Rhea's been running shop since day one. Since Edge left, she's been running shop. So I mean, we all know who the real boss is. For the longest time, I always thought it was Finn Balor, and I was like, no, we know who runs this shit.
Yeah, they tried to make it seem like that for a while, and then I guess they kind of realized that Rhea's the one who really got the juice.
That's so true, man. But this match was great. That spot that you mentioned with Owens taking that swanton, it takes me back to Jeff Hardy. Anytime he had a chance, he'd be taking swantons from that. But just to think about it, just being that human being standing on top of that, just like, I'm just gonna fall forward and pray to God that this guy down below catches me, or I don't fall short or overfall. So I mean, that's some scary shit.
But, like I said, he damn near missed.
Yeah, dude. I was like, oh God, please don't let this be the last thing Kevin Owens does. So this match had everything. Great match, great match. Tag team might be one of my favorite tag team matches of the year.
Yeah, I'm kind of in agreement with you. I think this was the match of the night. Yeah. It definitely was. Yeah. Doyle, where you at with it?
Yeah, god damn it, this was so much fun. And I loved, every time they do a street fight, it's always a Chicago street fight or a Des Moines street fight, whatever the fuck. And everyone always jokes, well, what makes a Des Moines street fight different than a Austin, Texas street fight? But this one they actually homaged the city, which was kind of cool with the jerseys. It was maybe just a tad overbooked, maybe just a tad too much interference, but it resulted in that fucking awesome swanton off the balcony there. And fucking Rhea put Kevin Owens through the barricade. That was pretty ballsy. I like that. But I mean, what you said it. What else were KO and Sammy going to do with the belts? WWE just doesn't. They can sometimes do tag team wrestling in spurts, but for a sustained period. They never seem to be able to get it together. Because they never really did have any signature wins as champions. It seems like they've been fighting the fucking bloodline forever. But how about the bloodline? Going forward, I said there was way too much there to break them up yet. And it looks like we've gone the total other direction. I think that, of course, the logical conclusion is, of course, at some point it will blow up. And boy, will that be fun when it happens. But I don't think I think that's probably a ways off. I think it looks like they're probably going to be the ones headed for War Games if we're doing that again. And I'm wondering if Rhea would be in that as a woman. That might be kind of crazy. But we saw JD give Damian Priest a new briefcase, which was stupid. It looked almost exactly the same. It was just purple. They did a spot where they explained that they moved the contract, which would have driven me fucking batshit crazy if they had. The case doesn't matter. It's what's in the case that matters. But
of all
I'm wondering if
purple by the briefcase.
Yeah. Well, I'm wondering if it's finally where we get new tag titles. We've gotten...
God, please. Yes.
Yeah, we've gotten new women's titles. We've gotten a new belt for Roman. Maybe it's time to Dre, I think you said red and blue make purple, right? So maybe it's one set of belts.
In Judgment Day is primary colors? I mean, it only makes sense right now.
All right.
Just saying.
I mean, yeah, you're right. blue and red make purple, and this is after we saw the gift that JD McDonough brought to try to win Priest over. I think new tag team titles. Hey, I brought you guys these purple tag titles, and that's where Damian Priest. This is like, all right, this guy's cool, and he's like, let's. Or even if you Judgment Day.
Yeah. Or even if you think purple is cheesy, they can be black.
No, it's
they
not.
They can be black.
Side note: if anybody has seen the latest episode of AEW, they introduced new triples tag teams. They have scissors at the end, so they can scissor themselves.
Yeah.
So
I personally love.
I was okay with the
like
color. The color was,
for
but the scissoring, I was like, oh god, terrible. Didn't stick the landing. So purple titles, yeah, they wouldn't be crazy. We've had a purple title before, the cruiserweight title.
Yeah, it wasn't like I was saying the cruiserweight title was purple before.
Yeah,
so, I mean, again, it doesn't have to be a bright purple. It could be like a dark purple.
Yeah,
or like I said, if they don't think purple would work, they can be black. That could be fine.
When Sergeant Slaughter beat the Ultimate Warrior at the Royal Rumble in '91, I believe. It was a purple belt at the time, and Sergeant Slaughter walked around with a purple belt for quite a while before they moved it to black.
Oh yeah. It's
So it's not unprecedented.
Yes.
Yeah, and honestly, they've been rocking these belt. They've been treating these belts as a single title for going on 2 years now, damn near.
Yeah.
So, fucking either make it official or split these fuckers up.
Yeah, and they're horrible belts. I've always hated these belts.
Yeah, they're so terrible.
So I'm looking forward to something new there.
Yeah,
hopefully,
they're not the. I don't completely hate the design, but they definitely had way better tag team designs in the past.
Yeah, I like the Ruthless Aggression tag team titles, the world titles, and the SmackDown. SmackDown just looked like the classic ones. They just had some blue.
Yeah, the SmackDown ones just look like blue versions of the old World Tag titles, and then the Raw Tag titles were basically just like a variant of the Undisputed title.
Right. I mean, that's when they did them right, and then then they decided to turn them into a set of copper pennies, and now they're silver pennies, or nickels or whatever. They're just awful looking. Awful. I mean, yeah.
Well, they go, we're sitting here with all the gold. I'm like, the tag belts aren't really gold.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I picked up on that too. They weren't all gold. I'm like, but they're not.
Really?
Yeah, right.
But either way, for the sake of argument, they kind of do have all the quote unquote gold right now. So here's my question to you all.
Yeah.
Can the Judgment Day, because they have all the gold, but what they have is tag titles, a North American title, a Money in the Bank briefcase, if you want to count that in, and Rhea Ripley has the Women's World title. So, can the Judgment Day be seen as, or do you see them as a true top tier dominant heel faction without having the men's world title?
Yeah,
because they got all that, but Seth is still the champ.
Dude, absolutely. The Money in the Bank briefcase alone, you think of the value of that briefcase. You're 50% guaranteed to be the next world champion. Nobody is gunning for that briefcase every day. It's not something that guy has to defend at any point in time. It's the chance, the ability to cash in anytime, anywhere. And we've seen them cash in at terrible ways where they announce I want to fight you 3 months from now, or it's last second and nobody sees it. It's the heist of the century. The Money in the Bank briefcase to me just has so much value to it, because once that thing's gone, it's gone. He used it. I mean, some people.
Well, that's an accolade too.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah, it's an accolade.
People say, "Oh, I've been 3-time U.S. champ, and I won the Rumble, and I was the Money in the Bank." It's one of those, or King of the Ring. It's one of those kind of.
But Money in the Bank comes
resume builders, if you will.
It is. It's very true.
Sure.
But once you cash that in, you're not the Money in the Bank briefcase winner anymore. Now you're a world champion, or you're nothing. You know what I mean? Like, you have a 50-50 chance, but at the end of the day, if you don't cash it in, you're still the Money in the Bank winner.
Right. I hear what you're saying, and I get that the Money in the Bank briefcase has value.
Yeah.
But it still ain't the world title. You got a chance at the world title, but it ain't like having the world title. And if you think about all dominant factions that have monopolized the title picture in the past, whether it was the Bloodline or DX or Four Horsemen or Evolution, all stuff that have dominated them, they had the title. They had the world title or the WWE title or whatever, or WCW title if you want to talk about NWO or something like that. All dominant heel factions, they had the top title. And that's what the Judgment Day does not have yet. They got everything else, but they ain't got the top one. So, in my eyes, they are a top tier faction. They are a dominant faction, but I can't quite put them on the same level as the other ones yet because they ain't got the champ. And that's no disrespect to Rhea Ripley, because again, she is the women's world champion, so they have that on that level, but they ain't got.
I think it's nice to how dominant Rhea is, because, like, let's say it wasn't Rhea, let's say it was Liv Morgan or something. Like, I don't even think we're having this conversation. You know what I mean? Because Liv isn't booked as, like, Liv is kind of booked like Rey Mysterio, like everything's a fluke, you know, whereas Rhea is fucking kicking people's teeth down their throats.
Right.
So I think it speaks to her that we're even discussing this. I think it speaks to how fucking awesome Rhea Ripley is.
Sure, I agree with you. The fact that Rhea Ripley's holding that title elevates them to this point alone. Yeah, I agree with you. It speaks to her and her caliber as champion. So, like I said, but I still can't quite put them there yet until
I agree.
So they snatch one of them top titles,
maybe it's not
and
then
then they're really that.
Yeah.
Then I can look at them truly in the same way that I look at an Evolution or Bloodline or DX or Horseman or something like that.
I think it's going to be when one of them splits. I don't think they're going to have it in the Judgment Day. I think it's going to be a win outside of the Judgment Day.
But then that doesn't do anything for the Judgment Day, though. If like Damian Priest splits off and then wins the title, that doesn't do anything for Judgment Day.
But like, you know, these guys aren't going for Roman. Roman's in God mode. He ain't dealing with Judgment Day. And then, you know, you got the world title. I mean, Finn Balor just had multiple title shots. Couldn't get the job done. Damian Priest, right now, can't get the job done. Dominic, we've seen, can't get the job done. So,
well, we can't say that Damian Priest can't get the job done because he hasn't taken a crack at Seth really yet. So should he choose to, he could.
I don't know if I see him as a world title holder yet. Anyway, I did like kind of in the same way that I'll say. He's much farther along than Raquel, but kind of in the same. Like I think Raquel isn't ready for that either. We'll get to her in a minute, I suppose. Like, so I'm not sure it's a foregone conclusion that Damian Priest is going to successfully cash in the briefcase.
Oh, I agree. I'm not saying that he will either, but
I think he will have it within the bloodline, because that'll be where the jealousy finally boils over.
Mm-hmm. Because
I did like how they go, let's get rid of that old briefcase. It hasn't brought us much luck.
Yeah. Think about it this way. We think about how we look at the Judgment Day now with the belts that they currently hold. Now, imagine if it was Rhea Ripley, Women's World Champion, Finn Balor and Dominic Mysterio as the tag team champions, and Damian Priest as World Heavyweight Champion. We would immediately look at them in the same light that we look at Judgment Day, as Evolution or Four Horsemen or something like that. Like, that's what it means when to have the top title. It changes. It immediately puts you on that level, on that upper tier level. And even with all the belts that they have now, I don't think you're wrong by any. Right, I'm saying, and even with all the belts that they have now,
we've also never seen for all intents and purposes, a woman leading a faction of men either. So this is kind of uncharted territory for that. There's not really anything to compare it to.
Right. And again, I'm not bringing all this up to try to diminish Rhea Ripley. I'm not saying that. But the top title is still always is just the men's title. The world title or the WWE title. That is the top title. Regardless.
Well, that's a certainly valid opinion, I think.
Right. So I'm just saying, like, that title, you're the top faction, but the top person isn't within your faction. Like, again, they have everything but the top title. They got everything else, but the champ is still Seth Rollins. And again, if we saw this, if we see Damian Priest cash in on Seth at some point and take that title, and then they really have that is going to elevate them. Like, there is still a higher level for them for Judgment Day to reach, and that higher level is capturing the world title from Seth Rollins. So again, like I said, I'm not trying to shit on Rhea Ripley as champ, because again, the fact that they are even as close as they are to the Horsemen's and Evolutions and factions of that caliber, the fact that they are even that close to them with Rhea Ripley as the top title holder in the faction speaks to Rhea Ripley and all that she has done as women's champion. Even if to a certain extent, I believe her title reign has been a bit lacking so far, and I think it's just now finally starting to really gain some steam. But I think they're not quite a 10 yet. I think with this title win, they're like an 8.5. They're at a 9. They still need that last check.
Yeah, they're also not done yet. They're still ascending.
I agree.
Who knows where they're going to end up?
Exactly.
Right. I agree. Yes, they have not peaked yet. And truth be told, especially with the whole JD McDonough factor, JD McDonough, if he does finally get accepted into the Judgment Day, he could take Damian's spot as the tag with Finn Balor, and I think JD McDonough and Finn Balor could probably be a dope ass tag team, which would free up Damian Priest to capture the world title. And then they really cooking. But then they really would have everything. And I don't know if we've seen a 5-member faction where all 5 had gold. I can't think of one of those off the top of my head.
Do you guys think this match should have been the main event? The way it went off the air, like this would have been a good.
What the street fight?
Yeah.
I think we're saying that in retrospect, just because I think that's a bit of Monday morning quarterbacking, just because the match was that good. Yeah. I still believe the world. I'm just old school in that fashion, but I still kind of believe world title matches should almost always main event pay-per-views, unless you just have some sort of premier match that exceeds whatever your world title match could possibly be. Perfect example of that would have been WrestleMania 18 Rock Hogan. That absolutely should have been the fucking main event of that show and not fucking Triple H and Chris Jericho. But outside of situations like that, I think world titles should always be the main event.
But
yeah, I agree. I mean, there are certainly exceptions. Like, what was it, SummerSlam 92 at Wembley when the main Brett and Bulldog, I think, for the IC title.
Yep.
Makes sense. But by and large, I think 90% of the time, what was I talking about? The world title should be the main. I think. That should be that should be what everybody's going for.
We had it this year at WrestleMania night 1 that the tag team was the main event, and then the next night, the undisputed title.
Yeah, but that was night 1, and at that time we didn't have another. We didn't have another world title. All we had was the undisputed. So. And there's a reason why it main event night 2, because that is kind of still the ultimate main event of WrestleMania, even if it is split into 2 nights.
Yep.
I mean, you could argue Charlotte and Rhea maybe should have main evented night 1.
Sure. They arguably could have main evented night one if it wasn't for the fact that the Bloodline storyline was just so dominant at that time.
The way it worked was perfect.
Right. And they gave fans that happy moment, that moment to cheer for night one.
They sure as shit weren't getting a Sunday.
Fuck no. So, all right, that does it. I guess we're done with the street fight match. So, following that, we got the Grayson Waller effect. Grayson Waller and his special guest, Cody Rhodes, coming out from Raw. And I like the fact that they immediately subverted expectations, where Cody just came out and said, "Oh, you talk a little bit smack to me, I talk smack back to you. I hit you with the crossroads. Everybody goes home happy." Yeah, no, that's not what's happening here. They nipped that in the bud immediately, so to immediately put you in a space of unknowing. Well, okay, if that's not going to happen, then what the hell is the point of this whole segment? Well, turns out the point of this whole segment was Cody Rhodes announcing that Raw has a new competitor, and that person is named Main Event Jey Uso.
Okay, well, SmackDown is intriguing, wouldn't you say? Matter of fact, I saw something that happened on SmackDown just a few weeks ago, a wrong that I felt needed to be righted. So whatever political stroke I have, whatever chips I had, I cashed them in. And I hope this is not a decision that I regret. I sorely hope so. But ladies and gentlemen, please welcome your newest member of the Monday Night Raw roster, Main Event, Jey Uso. Wow! Blockbuster announcement!
That's right. Jey Uso has come back after quitting the Bloodline and quitting SmackDown and quitting WWE and saying deuces ooses. He came back 3 weeks later to Raw.
Yeah.
How great is this new theme song? Oh, God, that cracked me up.
Yeah, I mean, basically the Usos theme, except, it's just me Us instead of just
so
us
good.
Us. Yep, just slightly remixed it and just him on the mic as opposed to, I guess, him and Jimmy what it was before.
Yeah.
Yep, I dig it.
Yeah.
The crowd popped like hell for it.
Yeah, it's slightly different. A little bit of something new.
Yeah, Jimmy got Jimmy's theme is completely different, and his theme hasn't grown on me yet. To me, it's just kind of so far.
It will.
At least as far as Jimmy's.
But Jay's is real hyped though. Like, it has a lot of energy to it. Perfect for his current attitude right now. It was brilliant putting him. Simply. We're just. I quit, but not really. I just quit. For a couple weeks, and Cody Rhodes pulled some strings because Cody Rhodes has some pull backstage. Getting some guys their jobs back, right? But I think it's great. This is where we're gonna separate the Usos. We see doesn't look like Jimmy's going anywhere. Looks like Jay's gonna be out on his own, doing his own thing. I think it's gonna be great for his character.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is actually a very smart move on WWE's part to split them up onto separate brands, because obviously we all kind of know that eventually these two are going to have to clash. It seems likely that that's probably going to happen at WrestleMania next year. So splitting them up saves you the trouble of having to figure out how to keep these two apart from now till WrestleMania after what happened. Well, easy. They're on different brands now, so done. And it also gives both of them time to build themselves up as single competitors. So that way, when they do eventually come back together and have their inevitable match, it's not just, brothers beefing, or it's not just a tag team having broken up and now they got a feud. Hopefully it should be two well-established individuals, singles competitors with a whole lot of, unfinished business and a whole lot of things unsaid. It should hopefully make for a very epic feud when they finally do come back together to have their match. I expect Jay on Raw to be treated like a top tier competitor. I expect him to exist probably on the same level as Cody, KO, Sammy, and Seth.
Yeah,
I expect him to be that tier of a singles competitor, especially since they're literally putting main event Jey Uso, and that's how they're introducing him. Well, he better damn well be in some main events.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and I expect, if anything, Jimmy's got more work to be built up than Jay does.
Oh yeah.
So, and I think Jimmy's probably going to be a bit of a slower burn because obviously he does still have the bloodline stuff to deal with. So he's got to at least, deal with Solo and Paul and Roman, whatever Roman decides to pop back up. So Jimmy does still have all that to contend with.
Just run away to NXT. You can just run away.
Yeah, no, that don't do nothing for him.
Right?
No, it's something that he can
still around.
Yeah, no, he's something that he has to fight through.
Yep.
And fighting through all that could be the thing that builds him up. Eventually maybe we do get Jimmy versus Roman one-on-one. I mean, we got Jay and Roman one-on-one twice. Now it's Jimmy's turn to face Roman. And let him have that match and let him get that one-on-one. That's the stuff that he needs to build himself up to, kind of odd to say, but to build himself up to Jay's level. And Jay has the task of staying at the level that he's at and not falling off in this time, because it would be terrible if Jay fell off on Raw. And that would just throw a whole monkey wrench into WWE's assumed plans for them to at WrestleMania 40. But Doyle, where are you at on this? What expectations do you have for Jay on Raw and extension Jimmy on SmackDown?
Let me pose a question to you.
Okay.
Could Jay be the one that finally beats Gunther?
Oh no.
I'm not in. You know what? Given the caliber, given what the IC title has been raised up to, I'm not entirely opposed to that. I'm not entirely opposed to him being the one to dethrone Gunther and be the IC champion.
Yeah, I mean, we've racked our brains. Who could it be? And it kind of doesn't look like anybody on the Raw roster. But whoop! All of a sudden, we got a white meat baby face that we really, really want to elevate even higher. And that might be a really good spot to do it.
That would not be a bad idea, because, I mean, Seth seems to be holding on the title for at least a little while longer, and whoever he drops it to is probably going to be a heel. So that rules out Jay, right, kind of. And Gunther's kind of run through practically everybody. And I don't think having KO or Sammy to beat Gunther for the title, I don't think that does.
No.
Well, I mean, it might do a favor it might do Sammy some good, but I almost feel like Sammy, even though he's not a world champion,
yeah,
he's almost at that level of world champion where it's like major feuds he's in as a singles competitor should damn near be world title caliber.
Oh yeah, he's on the
because
cusp.
he has.
Yeah.
Right, because he had a world title shot at Roman earlier this year, and the way they book him as strongly as they book him, it's almost surprising to me sometimes how strongly they book Sami Zayn. Because they book him like he is a world champion at times in terms of how much he fights people off and
they book him like
how much he wins over people.
Daniel Bryan's career. That's what it reminds me of. Just without
like
the
think
big
about what it
title
took just for them to pin him in the street fight at Payback.
Yeah.
Like he was in, like Kevin Owens was laid out for a minute, and Sammy was in that ring fighting for his life, and fighting these motherfuckers off like a sumbitch. Like they book him strong as shit. So I mean, he could, in theory, be it, but I don't think they're ready to split Kevin Owens and Sammy up yet as a pairing, unless one of them is going to take a break to heal from injury. But no,
yes, I think Jay's as good a guess as anybody.
Yeah, I think he's a prime candidate to be the one to dethrone Gunther.
Now, the next question I have for you. Somebody's going to SmackDown in return. And I think it makes all the sense in the world if it's Cody Rhodes. Because, A, why else would he even be involved in this Jay announcement at all? But it gets him back to Roman without him having to win the Rumble again. And we've all kind of wondered, I think we've all kind of expected that that's what's going to happen. And the question has been, well, how the hell are they going to do that? This would make all the sense in the world to me, personally.
Oh, yeah. I'm in total agreement with you right on that there. That's my exact thoughts.
Himself traded.
I don't know if there was necessarily be a ploy, but it would kind of be a real ironic twist where it's like he did all this work supposedly did all this work to get Jay onto Raw, and it ends up costing him his own spot on Raw.
That's a great question. How are they going to play it?
He's like, I got rid of Jay, I put him on Raw just so I can get closer to Roman Reigns. Clever.
Right, so now he's got one less person at his side. Yeah.
That's true.
I think I don't know if I like it if it's a conscious choice by Cody, like Cody did it to get himself over there. I think I like it better if it catches Cody by surprise. Like, okay, somebody's gonna have to go to Raw, and then Cody finds out it's you, and it's like, like he wasn't the active. He didn't play an active role in himself getting put on SmackDown.
Yeah.
Rather than it's just a consequence of his decisions or a consequence of his efforts, almost like karma getting him for it. Like, all right, you did this thing, but your choices have costs. There's a cost to your actions. Rather than I'm going to do this so that I can get this, and like he's manipulating it himself. I'd rather him be a victim of his choices than be in total and complete control of everything.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how maybe that won't be what happens at all. But if that is what happens, it'll be interesting to see how they play it. If they play it as he is orchestrating things behind the scene, or it's just dumb luck and he's like, oh, I don't want to leave Raw. One quick note about Grayson Waller, since this all started as the Grayson Waller effect. I kind of feel like he might have LA Knight syndrome a little bit, where like his mic and character work, which is fucking great, by the way, are so much better than his in-ring work. He better hope to catch up sooner rather than later.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't really have much of an opinion on his in-ring work because I just haven't seen enough of it to say whether he sucks or whether
it's not bad.
Good.
I don't think he sucks. I don't think LA Knight sucks,
right.
But I'm not sure that either of them are great, or they certainly aren't great yet.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough of Grayson Waller to really form a strong opinion about his ring work. However, his look is terrible. His in-ring look is terrible.
The gear he wears,
yeah, that's where he really. It does not work for me. It's his in-ring presentation, as far as coming out in the basketball shorts and doing like the like fake dribbling between the leg crossover, like shit.
His finisher, it's god awful.
You guys remember when Chad Gable was Shorty G? Remember how they made him dress? Like his Shorty G character was brutal. Terrible. I'm glad he went back to wearing, what he wears now. But
no, what he wears now is dog shit terrible.
The singlet.
Like you're not a baller. Why are you walking out here like you're a baller? Like, no, none of it works at all. It looks completely stupid, and completely counter to this, guy who's gold on the mic and charismatic as hell when he's doing the Grayson Waller effect and has the dope look, and then he goes to wrestle and is like, yeah, dude, in my fucking basketball shorts, bro.
Yeah,
doing my crossover. It's like that. It looks like a white boy who wants to be cool, who's not cool. That's what I don't know how else to describe it. It just looks cheesy and dumb as shit. It looks fake. Like him as his character on Grayson Waller doing the Grayson Waller effect looks real and authentic. That looks like an extension of him. Not saying he's an actual asshole in real life, but it looks like he's taking elements of himself and ramping that up, which is what a lot of people say is like what a lot of wrestlers you hear them say. That's when they find their character best, when they just take who they are and just turn the notch up. Him on Grayson Waller effect, that's what I get. I get the vibe that's real and authentic. Mm-hmm. Him coming out as a wrestler feels like a poser. It feels like
that's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, it feels fake. It feels poser as fuck, and that's I think, and it's an extreme disconnect between that and the person we see on Grayson Waller effect. He really needs to change up his in-ring presentation. Really does.
All right.
That's what I'm saying.
All right, so moving on from that.
R&R.
So what?
I said R&R.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, exactly. So moving on from that, we had the penultimate match of Rhea Ripley defending her Women's World Championship against Raquel Rodriguez. And a basic one-on-one match that saw Rhea Ripley emerge victorious after some brief interference, again, from Dominic Mysterio, causing Raquel to be distracted, allowing Rhea Ripley to hit the Riptide for the 1-2-3. This match, it wasn't a great match. It also was not a bad match either. And but it was better than just okay. And to me, this match made sense. And let me try to explain that to an extent. Rhea Ripley is the established one. She's the champion. She's the dominant force. Raquel is the up-and-comer. She's the babyface. She's up-and-comer. Obviously, she's not completely new and green. She's not a rookie or by any means. But as a singles competitor, she is, I think, still being viewed as new-ish. Kind of that still defining herself with the WWE Universe and with the crowd, but has managed to get a very early title at the champ. So the fact that she was competitive and looked strong against the champ makes her look good, but her inexperience and the fact that she allowed a distraction to cost her the match still shows that she's not ready yet. So from a storytelling standpoint, the match made sense to me, and that's what I appreciated about the match. Honestly, the comparison I could most draw it to, and I'm not saying that Raquel Rodriguez is this person, but to me, it kind of gave me comparisons of Ric Flair versus Sting at the very first Clash of the Champions. And in that match, Flair was the champ, obviously the veteran. Sting was the new hotness, the up-and-comer, and he wound up getting this surprise title shot, which history buffs know actually was never supposed to be Sting in the first place. I think it was actually supposed to be, if I'm correct, Lex Luger, who was supposed to have gotten that title shot, but Lex Luger was injured, and therefore wound up going to Sting.
I said you are correct, sir.
Yeah. So, but to me, this match kind of gave me that. I kind of compare it to that. The person who's the up and comer They get an early title shot. They look good in the match, but obviously they're not ready, so they end up losing. And they're inexperienced, or they're, they prove themselves not to be ready for that. And that, is what cost them the match. But like I said, other than that, I thought they both looked good. Actually, Raquel Rodriguez looked really good in this match. And as far as her in-ring performance, this is the first time I've seen her really perform in the ring in a match where I can say I was like really watching her performance, and she looked good, and I was genuinely impressed with her performance, and she showed herself to me as a viable singles competitor, and not just the powerhouse person who just comes in there and does power moves and all that stuff. Like, she showed to me that she can actually go in a full match and be an equal contributor in the match, and not being carried by the other person, or not just, again, coming in there, hit my signature power moves, and all right, I'm done. So I saw growth from her in this match. She looked good, but obviously she is not quite there yet. So again, I thought this was a good match for what it was, or for what it was supposed to be. It did its job, and it did its job well. Wayne, what'd you think?
Coming off of that tag team title match, that energy, and she still has to come out here and perform. She was involved in that tag team match, putting, I think, what was it, Kevin Owens through a barricade.
Yep.
So she's coming out with that same high, that same energy, just riding off of that. So it's like a lot of pressures on you, because it's like, we have all the gold, but that was like, 20 minutes ago. We can also leave here with not all the gold. So it's like, oh shit, yeah, that's right. So, I wasn't surprised by the outcome. This was, 17 minutes of a match. Woof. I don't think I've ever seen Raquel wrestle this long. Yes, it's been a while since I've seen Raquel wrestle in a singles match. She's still very green. Reminds me of Rhea when she kind of started out on the main roster. When she was going against Charlotte, she got very close, but she didn't get it. But then she was able to come back a couple years later and finish the job. So Rhea's on fire. Currently, it's going to take a lot more to take her down. Besides just. I just don't know who it's going to be. When I look at the women's roster, I have no idea who's going to be the one to take Rhea down anytime soon. Probably it's going to be a couple months from now, somebody who's not even on the roster, I bet. But yeah, Raquel just flying too close to the sun, like Icarus, and she burned. But I pretty much expected Rhea to win. After that tag team match, I was like, "There's no way they're gonna have her then lose." Like, right? So, nice buffer between the tag team and the world title match. So, I give it a 3 stars out of 5.
Hey, Doyle, what'd you think of this match?
Yeah, I was hoping for a lot more from it. Rhea and Raquel are real good friends in real life, apparently. And considering this is Raquel's biggest match of her career, basically, thus far, I thought that they would have a little better outing than they ended up having. Raquel wasn't bad. I'm not saying that. The match wasn't bad. But to me, it was pretty clear Raquel has a long way to go, and she wasn't quite ready for this kind of spot just yet. And the crowd wasn't super into her either. Wayne, what did you say, 17 minutes? I thought, again, way too long. I think I'm going to go completely opposite of what Dre said. I would have made this like a 10-minute hoss fight. This would have been 2 big, meaty women slapping meat. I think that would have been a much better style for these two. And I give it a 3 also, but I was expecting a 4. So it disappointed for me. It wasn't bad. I'm not saying that. It was very good, but it never sniffed greatness.
Right. Yeah, I was saying, and I get your points. I think just for me, given that the goal of this match was not for Rhea to lose or drop the title to Raquel. The goal of this match to me was to make Raquel look good, and I think if the match is too short, if it was like a 10-minute match or something like that, and just a power fest, I don't know if that works for Raquel. I don't know if that makes her look strong. It just, again, it's just more of the same. She hits her power set and then has nothing else to go off of. I think by having this match be longer, again, y'all are absolutely right. She did still look green at times, but I've seen the improvement in her. She didn't look nowhere. Yeah, she didn't look nowhere near as green in this match as I've seen in other matches from her in the past. Even tag matches.
I'm not down on her by any means.
Right.
As much as I think it's hilarious when Chelsea Green calls her a Sasquatch. Besides that, no, I like Raquel. She needs to get more to her character than just look at my back. What's she going to do in Saudi Arabia, by the way? She just needs,
without being able to flex the back. Yeah. Just probably walk out if she has a match.
I don't think she's there yet.
I agree.
I think she can certainly get there.
Right, and I agree with all that. She's not there yet. She can definitely get there, and I think this match did the job of showcasing that while also still elevating her and showing that she is a strong singles competitor. Because the fact that she did go for a longer period of time, which means that she couldn't just rely on her power set and be done with it. That helps establish her as a viable singles competitor and not just the other strong girl on the roster. She can come off of this match and and stand on her own now in singles feuds with other people and look strong on her own. That's what this match did for her. Whereas before, she was just kind of, again, the power girl. Whereas now she's now an individual that you see. You see Raquel Rodriguez, this up-and-comer. Again, I agree with y'all. She does still need work to do on defining her character and being more than just the person who comes out and smiles. I think that's the next step that I want to see her take, is putting some more, rounding out her character presentation a little bit more. We're starting to see that a little bit where she cuts her promos and she starts speaking Spanish in her promos a little bit. So she's getting there. The growth is there. It's just, like I said, this is the beginning. If this is the start of it, and that's how I see it.
Yeah, she would benefit greatly from is a secondary title.
Yep.
But we're not doing that again. We have litigated the fuck out of that, I think.
Yep. Because if it existed, she would be a prime candidate for it coming out of this. That would be the next step to build her up. Like, okay, you challenged for the world title, not quite there yet. Cool. You have another feud with maybe somebody else, but that we see as maybe like a pseudo number one contenders feud, and you emerge victorious in that, and then you get the challenge for that mid-card title and become that new mid-card champ. But, we need world titles and shit from people who get injured and sick and can't wrestle and have cursed belts and shit. So, as opposed to having mid-card titles that y'all could really be booking things with. What the fuck do I do? I just watch TV and shit. I ain't a goddamn company. Anyway, moving on to the main event of Payback. We had Seth freaking Rollins defending the World Heavyweight Championship against Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, I have to confess something, and that would be that watching this match Saturday night, I fell asleep in the middle of it. Because I was, not because the match was bad, because I was just tired as fuck. And we've touched on it before that, this pay-per-view went past 3 hours, and I was shocked that it went that long, because I was like, these matches have flown by and time has flown by, and I looked up at the clock and it was like 11, and I was like, how?
I mean, it's
why in the fuck did this card need to be 3:50? 3 hours 15 minutes,
right?
Like, what the fuck? Give me a nice tight 2:45.
I swear, going into this, I thought, we about to get a good clean 3 hours. This shit finna end at 11 on the dot.
I know it's. I miss those days when we had those shorter pay-per-views. It's like 6 matches on the card. Like, why did this match, out of all matches, the main event, got 26 minutes on the card?
I don't have a problem with this match having been as long as it was.
Okay.
It's the other shit that needed to be trimmed. This was a world title match. This deserved the longest amount of time, especially with these two workers. Because I went back and watched the match, the part from when I fell asleep on through the end the next day, and this was a good match.
Yeah.
This was a good world title match. Shinsuke Nakamura played his role great as being the heel, and really leaning in on that storyline of Seth's back being injured, where Shinsuke was constantly attacking it. Every move he hit was focused on the back. Every time Seth made even the slightest mistakes, Shinsuke made him pay for it. Seth looked battered and bruised, and really only won the match because he managed to catch Shinsuke slipping for a moment. Because other than that, Shinsuke Nakamura pretty much dominated most of the match.
Mm-hmm.
But he slipped up that one time, which enabled Seth Rollins to hit the stomp and get the win. It was a very classic babyface champ facing the dangerous, calculating heel who's going to target your weakness and take advantage of your injury, and the babyface still wins. I don't know what it was about this pay-per-view. This pay-per-view really gave me old school vibes. It almost felt like I was watching an old school WCW pay-per-view with a lot of this stuff. And I mean that in the most complimentary of ways. There was this match, this whole pay-per-view very much had old school storytelling.
Was it the
notes to it throughout the entire show?
Was it the Cinnamon Toast Crunch match that they gave away?
No, Cinnamon Toast Crunch had nothing to do with it. I was eating Papa John's while watching the pay-per-view.
Me too. Oh man, Papa John's.
I don't know. Like I said, go ahead.
I was going to say, I wouldn't feed my dog Papa John's.
Oh my gosh, here we go. We're going to start talking about pizza now. It's going to start a real fucking fight. We're going to start a real fight now.
Nope. I wanted that garlic. I wanted the garlic stuffed crust, so I got the garlic stuffed crust. Ate it. It was delicious. It was good. But the match itself was also good. Not as delicious, but good.
Can we all agree Little Caesars is the worst?
Yeah, Little Caesars will get you by in a pinch.
I'll fucking say. I mean, I don't know how
it'll get you by in a pinch.
I don't know how
as long as it's fresh.
At $5.30 for like a large pizza.
Yeah, but I say as long as it's fresh. Now, Little Caesars next day, no, that should have killed you. But as long as it's hot and fresh, it'll get you by.
Yeah, I remember those days.
But back to the match. Like I said, the match.
I'm trying to think of when the last time I had national chain pizza was, and it's been a long time.
Well, you might have better small pizza chain restaurants up there.
Oh my God.
The ones we have around here are just kind of, they're okay to me. Like we have small pizza shops around here, and their pizzas, like I said, they're just okay, but they're not enough to where it's like, if I want to get a whole pizza, I'm going to go to them. They're not that level of good. At least not the ones that I've tried out in my local city. There may be a sleeper one that I've missed out on or haven't tried yet. But
have you ever tried Infinitos, like an all-you-can-eat pizza buffet? God, Dude.
Don't think we got that here in
It's
Virginia.
going to be terrible.
Pizza buffets are amazing. Oh, yeah, I love it. I could sit here all day.
When I was a kid, Pizza Hut used to have a buffet.
Oh God, yo, Pizza Hut used to be the GOAT back in the day. Especially them dine-in ones. You walk in and you get that smell, and they bringing out. Man, listen, I know Pizza Hut may be trash now, but back in the day,
Yeah.
Pizza Hut was God tier back in the day.
red cups.
When it's in its prime, when it's in its heyday.
Yeah.
Fuck yeah, dine-in Pizza Hut, boy. I feel sorry for people who never got to experience that shit.
Well, Little Caesars had
That's when Pizza Hut cared.
Little Caesars had
Yeah,
a
back when
heyday.
Pizza Hut gave a shit.
When Little Caesars was teamed up with Kmart, that's I think when they were in their heyday.
Yeah, Little Caesars wasn't trash back in the day either. I remember they used to have that Bigfoot pizza. That thing was good.
Welcome to PCW, Pizza Championship.
Right. Yeah, I promise we'll eventually talk about the match at some point. But yeah, like I said, the match gave me classic old school wrestling vibes. Like I said, just as well as throughout the entire show, I got notes of that, and throughout the whole pay per view, from like the main event, the women's world title match gave me that, the street fight gave me that vibe. Really, the last three matches gave me that vibe. The rest of the pay per view before that was just felt like classic WWE, but those last three, I don't know. Whoever was producing the matches, they must have been some old school fans. They didn't watch some OG shit, because those are the vibes I definitely got from some of them, and especially in this match. And like I said, it was a good match. It was a good world title match, worthy of this level of pay per view. You know, I don't know if this would be a great match if it would have been like the main event of like a Survivor Series or something like that. Probably not. But for Payback, it worked as being a good main event of this caliber. Slightly a step up from a Raw main event, but not quite, big four pay-per-view level main event. But it was a good match. Like I said, I'd give it 3.5 stars. What'd you think of it, Wayne?
Yeah, I would agree. 3.5, maybe just 4, maybe right underneath 4. It was just a little long in the tooth for this one, but it seemed like almost all the matches were like this. Just only having 6 matches and stretching it out for so long. Let's if you were doing a drinking game during this match, every time Michael Cole says back, you take a shot back. He said back must have been like 100 and something fucking times. It felt like, as championship, defending goes, the flavor of the month almost. Because I did see later on, it wasn't in the pay-per-view, but he got attacked again by Shinsuke at the end of the match. So...
Yep, after the matches, he was going to the back.
So
Shinsuke attacked him again.
Something that's
and why the hell wasn't that on the show? It's so stupid.
I don't understand why. So where do we go with Shinsuke from here? Like, does him and Seth continue?
Well, based upon what happened on Raw, I would assume so.
Yeah, it looks
seems like the feud's going to continue.
Looks like it's going to.
Yeah, you can't just have one match anymore. It's got to be 3 at least.
Best of 3 series, or the best of 7. Remember that shit with Cesaro and Sheamus, the best of 7 series? God, I hate the best of 7s. I was like, oh shit, we're gonna drag this out this fucking long.
It depends on the people you have in the match, because there have been some great best of 7s in the past.
Like what?
The first one that comes to mind for me is Chris Benoit and Booker T. Their old best of 7 series. Yep, over the world television title back in WCW. That shit was great.
Didn't they have one with Benoit and Kurt Angle, or was it Kurt Angle and Brock maybe?
Yeah, as long as they don't overdo it, it can work.
Yeah.
If they were doing it constantly, you can only do it like every 5 years, maybe.
God.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So 3.5 for me.
Yeah, like I said. So, Doyle, what'd you think of the match?
By the way, Jamie Noble was the producer. I thought Shin's cartoon entrance was pretty fucking cool. Kind of a nice thing. But I'm not going to beat around the bush. I thought the booking of this match sucked. It was just like and it sucked. And I say that because it was so long. If it had been 12, 15 minutes, it would have worked much better. Like, Shin just beat the balls off of Rollins. Rollins hits his finisher once and he wins. Like, that's basically that didn't need to be 25 minutes. And then Shin's just walking around at ringside like nothing happened. So it was kind of clue number one that something is going to happen, right? Which gets into, like I already said, why the fuck wasn't that attack after the match part of the show? That drove me fucking nuts. Like, obviously something's going to happen here, and then they cut.
Yeah, definitely. From a booking standpoint, I agree with you. It would have made a lot more sense if they would have shown Shinsuke's attack afterwards and then ended the show with Shinsuke standing over a beat down Seth.
I think it was you that kind of like booked this whole like Shin goes after his back and beats him down and beats him down. It's basically I think you pretty much nailed what's going to happen here. Shin's just going to keep sneak attacking him and beat on that back and beat on that back and beat on that back. And he might not even win match number 2 either, but he's going to take that much more out of him. And then maybe the third time he comes back and he finally, he snaps him over his knee, a la Bane, like you said. But yeah, it's just like, this could have been, they would have achieved the same thing in much less time, I think. Or they should have had a different match. Because I love both of these guys, and their performances were both very good. But, like I said about the last match, it was very good. It never even approached being great. So I don't know. I mean, I just don't get why they did it that way. Yeah, I would go 3.5 on it. Just because they were 2 lesser performers having the same match would have been boring as fuck, I think.
Yeah, I guess I'm the only one who doesn't have a problem with the length of the match. But then again, maybe that's also because I watched it in 2 halves.
Right.
So maybe that's why it didn't bother me as much.
Yeah, well, and maybe in a vacuum I wouldn't have minded it so much. But at that point, it's like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. It's clearly time must have been some sort of a problem since I couldn't stay awake till the end of the damn thing.
Right.
But yeah, so I do think that is the direction that they're going with this feud. With what I guess the booking I previously pitched. I think we are nearing the end of Seth Rollins' title run. Now, whether Shinsuke is going to be the one to finish it off, is still to be determined. But Shinsuke is definitely going to be the one to wear him down to the point where whoever is going to take the title off of him is going to be successful.
Yeah,
whether they make that Shinsuke himself be the one, right? Whether Shinsuke himself is the one that does it, or if Damian Priest cashes in and is the one to do it. But I believe we're nearing the end. I do not see Seth Rollins keeping this title past Survivor Series. I don't think.
Yeah, I've been saying that this whole time, and then he keeps winning. I think he just passed 100 days the other day.
Yep, he did. I just saw that, I think yesterday or something like that. He passed 100 days. I don't think he makes it to 200.
We'll see.
Yeah. Wayne, Doyle, anybody else got any final thoughts on the main event or the pay-per-view as a whole?
You know what? They could definitely fit the Intercontinental title match on here. But, we got a pretty sweet Raw out of it. So, I mean, Chad Gable and Gunther tearing down the house.
Hell yeah.
Talk about, making you believe. Like, I believed, man. I was like, holy crap, they could do it. Get so close just to not do it. Pretty crazy. But,
his kid was crying. Gable's kid was crying.
Oh, my God, yes, the kid that was crying.
Wish she had cast on, too. That made it even funnier.
I know. I laughed out loud because it was... they panned right to the kid, and the kid just... You could just see the kid in slow motion, just everything, the whole world. You can always watch it now on Peacock forever. And
she still believes, man.
She still believes.
Still real to her,
Leave her alone.
I know, right?
She just watched her daddy get his shit kicked in on TV.
God. Okay,
it reminded me of, once again, Beyond the Mat, when Mick Foley's kids are watching him get The Rock just kick the fucking dog shit out of him.
You just never know how your family's going to react just watching you get, your ass handed to you. And be like, no, I'm fine.
Right.
I'm just getting...
You never know. Yeah. But those heartless fuckers backstage know it's always possible. So they're like, camera number 3, don't you take that fucking lens off that kid.
Yeah.
She's about to break any fucking moment. You better get it.
It's just as soon as they pan to the kid, like, you could just see it. Like, I was... Oh, my God. I was, like, laughing.
Yep.
It's wrong.
So Triple H backstage, you see them eyes getting watery. He's like, yep. Any second now.
Funny shot.
Any second. As soon as you see that tear just start to just break over that bottom eyelid, cut the camera right to it. Boom. There it is. God. That's my moment.
10 years from now, show that to your kid. Remember that one time you cried on TV? Like, what? What are you talking about? I'm going to show all your friends. Go on Peacock right now. Let's go.
Remember when you thought wrestling was real and you cried because I lost a match?
Dad, I'm 35 years old. Leave it. Just drop this. It was years ago.
Yeah, that was a great that IC title match was fucking great.
Yep.
I'm glad that they were smart enough to make that the main event and give it the proper time that it needed.
Agreed.
Yeah, they still managed to have like 3 commercial breaks at a time.
Yeah.
They stayed picture in picture at least, but it's just like, what the fuck?
So the next pay-per-view is NXT No Mercy. Look at that, NXT.
Oh, NXT's got the No Mercy moniker name now.
I guess I might actually check it out. I mean, Becky Lynch has gone over there, and if Judgment Day is more involved over there, might be worth looking into. I want to see what Baron Corbin's been up to. You still alive, buddy? You still okay over there?
Yeah, I might check it out because the last NXT pay per view I watched was actually pretty damn good. Even though I can't remember the name of it now off the top of my head, but it was whatever one they had right before SummerSlam, I think. I think it was the one right before. It was the one that had Carmelo Hayes defending the title against Dragunov.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. That was a really good match.
That was it. Yeah, it had that. It was a really good pay per view. It also had the triple threat match between Dominic and Wesley and can't remember who the third competitor was for the North American title.
So, I just want to point this out. Fastlane's what comes after that, right? Now I'm looking at the poster for Fastlane. It has Cody Rhodes, Jey Uso, Bianca Belair, who we know is stepping away for a couple months, Seth Rollins, Rhea Ripley, Bobby Lashley, Asuka, and Becky Lynch.
That kind of seems like a generic placeholder poster.
Yeah. Right, it's just all over
they
the place.
Just throw all the stars up there.
Yeah, I was like,
some of them will be up there, some of them might not be, and obviously as the show rolls around, we'll get a more defined poster reflective of the actual show. Because the poster for Payback this time around was featured the Judgment Day on it, but I'm pretty sure that wasn't the poster for Payback a month ago or 2 months ago.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they usually will do that. Have like a generic thing, and then as it gets closer, but because sometimes they leak. Like I remember the Sami Zayn Elimination Chamber one leaked before it was clear that he was going to be facing Roman for the title at that pay per view. So I think they try to avoid the leaks, but they happen.
Exactly.
And sometimes shit just changes so much that the poster makes no sense whatsoever.
Especially with them having Bianca Belair on the poster, and we don't know if she'll she's going to return by then or not, because she's out on basically in the extended vacation, and it's getting some well-deserved time off after all the grinding she did as champion. So
yeah,
she could be gone for a couple of weeks. She could be gone for a couple of months. It's unknown. I'm assuming I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see her. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see her for the rest of the year, although I don't think they'll keep her off TV that long. I would expect they might try to bring her back maybe around time of Survivor Series, because they would probably want her star power for that show. But
what's up with her reality show?
I have no idea. I haven't heard shit about that since earlier this year when it seemed like it was going to happen. I don't know.
Maybe that's what the word.
That's a good question. I remember it was set to have happened, but
yeah, I thought like they probably must have finished it by now. I would think,
right?
But I don't know. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm about to say, I just hopped on the Googles and the details revealed on blah blah blah. How old is this freaking article? Because I feel like if I'm gonna click on an article, it's probably gonna be something like from like April or something. Appearance on Today's Show, upcoming, yeah. Well, I don't see anything saying that it was. Yeah, that article was from fucking 10 months ago. I don't see anything that says it's been canceled or anything, so it may still be in production, and maybe it's just on hold for the time being.
Yeah, this says slated to debut in 2023.
Yeah.
But it's also this is also from November of last year. Okay, I'll probably find something better.
Well, overall, as a
yeah,
I think this one was pretty solid. For only 6 matches, I think fucking Judgment Day dominated this whole pay-per-view. That's one thing we can take away from it.
Oh yeah, this is if they weren't already, they definitely are now, like the dominant faction.
Yep.
Especially with the bloodline kind of being not even really around.
Disassembled.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, there was going to be a power vacuum, and I thought that they would fill it, and it looks like they have.
Yep. So,
all right. I found one article from a month ago about the show.
Okay.
It just says they started rolling about the Bianca Belair reality show, but she said they started rolling cameras on the road to WrestleMania 39 earlier this year. So presumably I guess that's where it'll start. So it'll cover most of the stuff that's happened this year. So maybe that's probably why we haven't seen anything about it yet, because it's been filming.
Yeah.
So maybe now it's probably in post-production. So, and it says, yeah, it'll show, blah. She described it as a feel-good show that will heavily feature their family. So I guess we'll see Montez Ford's family as well as Bianca's family, presumably their daughter, which is not Bianca's actual daughter, it's her stepdaughter, but Montez has I think it's a daughter or a son has, but Montez Ford does have a child from a previous relationship that Bianca Belair is the stepmother to. So I would assume we probably see that, probably see their parents. Yeah. She said the show features their lives as WWE superstars and as husband and wife in and outside the ring. Their parents are on the show a lot. How they balance it all, being successful, yada yada. Stepmother to Ford's two. Oh shit, Ford has 2 kids. Okay, I thought he only had 1. So Belair is the stepmother to his 2 children, who he has from a previous relationship. So we'll see some of their family life. And it's scheduled to hit Hulu later this year. So I don't know. I guess maybe, I don't know if it was announced as part of Hulu's fall lineup, or maybe they'll save it for later on in the fall towards the winter time or something. Man, they got to put something on that goddamn show with this writers strike, the SAG strike still going on.
Yeah, that's true. Well, at least we got John Cena for a couple weeks. So. So, you know what's funny right now? Right now, Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Jon Moxley, all current champions. Shield is still dominating. Even though they're apart.
Yep, I just saw a meme earlier today that talked about that. You know the meme with the 3 dragons?
Yeah.
Where 2 look fierce and 1 looks derp?
Yeah.
Guess which one was the derpy dragon?
Oh, poor John Moxley. Oh, shit. I mean, it's crazy how they know they're off doing their own thing, separated. You know, they're all
and
dominating.
still being successful.
Yep, they're dominating right now. Like,
yeah,
good for them.
John just needs to focus back on wrestling and not deciding what random object he can crack himself in the head with or stick in his head to bleed with this week.
It's like, does he have to bleed like every fucking match? Like, it seems like.
Well, he their last pay-per-view, he had a great match, main event with Orange Cassidy to win said championship, and Orange Cassidy bled, and Mox did not.
Oh, that's the fucking first.
He was still covered in someone else's blood.
Yeah,
so that probably counts.
Yeah.
But
covered in somebody else's blood. It's not mine. God. Yeah, I mean, Dre, you want to plug anything?
Nothing really to plug at this moment. Like I said, normally you can just find me in the PCW Discord or anywhere else on Discord under the name Outlaw Star. You can find me on Instagram, D_R_more757.
Yeah, huh?
Other than that, see y'all on the next one.
Yeah. Doyle, what do you want to plug?
well, I have to replug
Replug
because
it.
we didn't end up recording the WrestleMania 7 with Carlos there, but we are going to be doing it Friday, I think. So look for that. What is it? Revisiting the Mania? Am I getting that right? Speaking of WrestleMania 7, R.I.P. to General Adnan, who apparently died today. But yeah, other than that, I'll be doing Carlos's podcast. You can find me in the Discord or right here on Pizza Championship Wrestling.
Oh, shit. Yeah, and you can find me anywhere at Semi Dry Chicken. Let's go get a slice of pizza, boys.
And his name is John Cena. Give me what I want. Give me what I want.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
It doesn't matter what your name is.
Oh yeah? Well, screw you guys. I'm going home.
Bye, have a great time.